music. Woo! It's been a long time since I had a good rant on here. Woo! Uh-huh. Uh-huh. It's been a while, baby. COVID couldn't keep me down. Not this time. No. Nothing but love and thanks to Admin Tim for showing up with an awesome show yesterday. All of the Sons of Liberty's fans who came through. You gave me life. You gave Laura life. Today I'm going off. I'm gonna give people just a few more minutes to get in here because I don't want them to miss anything. Not 1 minute of it. Uh-huh. That music that you're hearing, that's the sound of the soul of America being crushed under the foot of a narcissist, an orange orangutan. That's the sound of dead brethren being peed on their graves right now. That music that you're hearing is the sound of the soul of America dying, being crushed under the foot of an orangutan who knows nothing about sacrifice, service, love, decency, kindness, family. Anything that this country was meant to be, the promise of this country, is lost on him. I haven't even started the rant yet. Now, people, the picture you see is of Admin Tim, the Sons of Liberty. They killed it. He killed it. Came through. Awesome show. I'm going to show a little bit of what he had to say in a minute. On your right is a list of workers in elections in counties, in swing states all over America. These people are election deniers. All of them. Many of them have been put in place to not certify. I need you to write them. Take screenshots. Let them know that we're watching in a peaceful way. Let them know that we expect only what the law requires of them. Let the state know. Let your representatives know. Let the people in the state office know. Secretary of States of these states and these counties, those who run the elections know. Give them the names, write them, as well as the people. That's why it's going there. It'll be up all night. Welcome to Political Drain. My name is Bruce Lively, people. Thank you for showing up. I haven't started the rant yet. We got a lot to talk about. But before I get started, I want to introduce the illustrious, the intelligent, the illuminated, the well-informed, my co-host, partner in crime, Laura Malcolm. What's going on, Laura?
The over 60 gal who can't quite get her Zoom camera working right.
It's all good. It's all good. It's all
Well,
good.
TGIF, Bruce, and everyone, thanks for joining. It's
Uh,
great to see a lot of people tune in for Admin Tim. That was a riveting one, I gotta say. That was a great interview.
oh man, I absolutely. Hey, Macaroni, what's up? As usual, I'll be tr-
Becca,
I'll be trying my hardest to respond to the chats, but Laura does that much better than me. I'll just be going through and talking. Now, I see that you just came from another live, as usual, and so I really appreciate you, Laura, for coming here. This was an early one. I wanted to make sure everybody was up for this one, because this is important. This one is important. Hey,
what
Gloria,
we do.
how have you been? I know everybody knows I've had COVID, but hopefully my voice sounds better. How have you been? How
TV2.
she's responding to everybody. How have you been, Laura?
Oh, you've been asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking you.
I don't know what's going on with me. I've been mixing up my days all week and my hours, my sleep's up and down, and I think it's just the hours are changing with the season. The light is
The
less.
light is
So
messing you up.
I'm
Light
all
is
over the
messing you up.
place.
Okay. Well, look.
So I was just going to let you go off on we had a kind of a plan, a list of items to talk about, but, the orange shit gibbon opened his stupid pie hole mouth again.
Oh yeah.
So you wanted to respond.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna respond. We'll get to the plan.
Let her rip.
More importantly than anything else is the fact that when I joined the military, it wasn't because I needed college money. When I joined the Army, it wasn't because I grew up in impoverished place and was tricked by recruiters, as many were, to come join and get out, find a way out of where I was. That wasn't why. When I joined, it wasn't only because I had a friend who joined the Marine Corps and I was inspired by his service. When I joined, it was because I saw a movie called Glory with Denzel Washington. In the Civil War, Glory was about the Civil War times and the black regiment that fought on the side of the Union, because they were promised at the end of it they would be free. Because they thought that the promise of America was better than the reality, and decided if they wanted to see that promise, they wanted to fight for it. That's why I joined. I cried like a baby. I saw the movie in school. I was a teenager, and me coming from a foreign land over to here, I cried when I saw it. Because I said, you know what? If those people would fight so I would have a chance, my parents would have a chance to come over here and have a better life. Yeah, it was more racist than they knew it was going to be. They told me that. They did. But they came over here because they thought they would have a better life. And people fought for the ability of that life to be gained. Yeah, there was problems. But when I joined, it was because I saw that movie and thought that even in the midst of however bad it could possibly be, the only way it could get better was if I fought for it. And so I gave honor to those who died for it. That's what happened. That's why I joined. I was one of those few. I was one of those few people who did it because of something that was lacking, and it is lacking for obvious reasons, as we see who our leaders are, this thing called actual patriotism, not fake patriotism, not hugging flags and kissing them as symbols while you degrade them. Not talking about freedom while curtailing others because they kneel during the national anthem. Actual patriotism, fighting for the promise of this country. And those who came back wounded, I was just a finance guy. That's what I gave. That's what I did. Then I became a drill sergeant. And now I'm sending guys who come back wounded. And any of them, wounded, not wounded, in a casket or in a wheelchair, any of them who came back after that deserve our respect and our gratitude, not our worship and not our unconditional praise, but our respect and our gratitude. I say that to preface what you're about to see. This is what Trump had to say about those who receive the highest honor, that those in the movie Glory that made me cry and join, that those who I sent out after training them for 8 weeks at Fort McPherson. This is what he had to say.
Held another press conference on Thursday evening in what may be his most disgusting attack on the veteran community yet. During this press conference, Donald Trump dismissed Medal of Honor recipients as, quote, dead or in bad shape, saying that the Medal of Freedom that he gave billionaire mega donor Miriam Adelson is, quote, actually much better than the Medal of Honor because she is a, quote, healthy and beautiful woman, unlike the military veterans who are, quote, dead or in bad shape. Let me show you what Donald Trump just said moments ago. Play this clip.
I have to say, Miriam, I watched Sheldon sitting so proud in the White House when we gave Miriam the Presidential Medal of Freedom. That's the highest award you can get as a civilian. It's the equivalent of the Congressional Medal of Honor, but civilian version. It's actually much better because everyone gets the Congressional Medal of Honor. That's soldiers. They're either in very bad shape because they've been hit so many times by bullets or they're dead. She gets it, and she's a healthy, beautiful woman. It's very... And they're rated equal.
And they're rated equal. All right, here we go. Let's do it. Number one. Wow. Number one. They're not rated equal. I'm going to let Admin Tim speak because he had a much better grasp on what each level of each medal actually means. But before we get there, understand that every one of those people who clapped is the problem. All of those people who clapped and said, woo-hoo-hoo, and laughed as he said, this is much better, as if comparing medals is a thing to do in the first place. And then as if comparing a medal of a civilian who's giving you money, that was the only thing they did to earn that medal, was give you money. Because all you care about is the money. All you care about is what people can give you, what they can do for you. Your wife has no meaning unless she's giving you something. Your kids have no meaning unless they're giving you something. And because you're so indecent and so gross, I will talk about your kid today. I was going to hold off on the upcoming serial killer, on the guy who hurts cats. I didn't even do the commercial, did I? Bump that. We'll have to go. We'll save the commercial for last. What's Barron? Barron. I wasn't gonna go in on Barron, but I will today because he's gonna grow up to become the same, if he's not careful, the same worthless, empty, soulless person that his father is turning him into while neglecting him, because the only things that are important to him are the things that are useful to him. And as you will hear, people who knew Barron as he was growing up never saw Trump until Trump was running for a campaign, because it was only useful to him to be there for his son. And that type of kid grows up hurting animals and slapping his nanny in the middle of the park. We'll talk about it. I wasn't going to, but guess what? To make sure that everybody knows the absolute dumpster fire that we decided to put into office, even though we knew before this statement that he made that the Medal of Honor people was much worse than the people who received the Presidential Medal of Freedom, and that they're equal, but worse still somehow because they're dead or injured. Before he said that, he said, I only like the ones who weren't captured, when he wanted to denigrate somebody who couldn't help him anymore, John McCain, right? When he was calling them suckers and losers, the dead soldiers, when he couldn't spare the time to get his hairpiece wet in France to go look at the dead soldiers who prop him up in his job, in that house that is ours, that he merely rented. When he was attacking Gold Star families, we put him in there collectively as a nation, this disgusting piece of filth. But I'm gonna let you. We're gonna have to decide where we're ranking these things. What are these medals? I'm not as proficient as that as Admin Tim is. Let him tell you what the medals rankings, as it were, are.
Selfish coward, but I digress. Look, I'm not saying that you should worship military veterans as heroes. Some people are scumbag pieces of shit, and even wearing a uniform doesn't necessarily make them worth idolizing. But I am here to tell you that it takes an extreme act of valor and self-sacrifice to be the recipient of the Congressional Medal of Honor. And maybe Trump was thinking, Trump using his brain, lols. Maybe he was thinking about the Congressional Gold Medal, which is in fact equal to the Presidential Medal of Freedom. But every single vet bro out there knows there is no greater sacrifice and no greater recognition than the Congressional Medal of Honor. No amount of money or philanthropy will ever compare to the extreme acts of courage, bravery, valor, and self-sacrifice that comes from what it takes to be a CMH recipient. Period. Point blank. Ever. Maybe this really old white guy got confused about what he was talking about, but even if he did mistake the Congressional Gold Medal for the Congressional Medal of Honor, he still decided to talk about the CMH and go on to compare Miriam's her philanthropy, with the acts of courage and self-sacrifice that our nation's bravest warriors have undertaken.
That's the problem. Now, that's not equal. They're not equal. One is for people who sacrifice their life and limb for the sake of the country, who have given an oath to the Constitution. The other is for people in the private sector who have done good things. The two that are equal is the Congressional, the Gold Medal, or the the Medal of Freedom, both of these are fine, even though he's desecrated them, because the people who those medals used to go to are people like Martin Luther King. And now they go to Miriam Adelson.
He gave one to Jim Jordan
To
and Rush Limbaugh.
To friggin' Jim Jordan, who turned a blind eye. To young men being sexually assaulted at his college. That's who got one. So the medal means nothing anymore. Thanks for ruining that. He gave one to Rush Limbaugh, who what? Died from an overdose of the pills he was taking? Listen, the most important part about all of this is the only reason why Miriam Adelson got any award is simply because, let's put it right here, thank you Admin Tim for that breakdown, is simply because she was a mega donor who set a donation record in 2020 by spending over $170 million on his campaign. So Trump bestowed the Presidential Medal of Freedom to her. Just like everything else, you can buy anything you want from Trump, including this country, including the medals and the honors that's been given by this country. You can buy all of that. Nothing is worth anything to him. Not his kids, not his wives, not the one who's buried for tax purposes at his golf course where the grass has grown over. None of that means that she's no longer useful. He is Darth Orange. The dark side has consumed him. He's raised by an evil man who was a KKK enthusiast. He grew up a Nazi enthusiast who was hated by his father, and so his sons have also become these empty, loathsome, transactional human beings. And his youngest one is just the latest. More on him in a minute. This is what growing up with somebody who thinks that people can pay for Presidential Medal of Freedoms. People who think that you can pay for that type of stuff because they have no idea what service is. They have no idea what sacrifice is. Captain Bone Spurs himself, who did everything he could to get out of serving, has no idea what service is. That's why to him it's foreign, unfathomable. What's worse is, we knew about this. Remember this? Oh, it's not going to let me click it? That's okay, I'll put it right here. Remember this, people, I'm just telling you, all those people who clapped, know about this. I want you to remind your Republican friends and your Republican office workers when they tell you that they're voting for Trump or that they didn't know this or that. Remind them of whom they would cast their vote and all of their feigning love for the military and the flag, which means nothing.
Back the blue!
Backing the blue, which all means nothing. Those are symbols. It's the principle that I fought for. It's the promise behind the flag that we fought for. Remember this?
I am better than ants.
Deeper.
Termites don't define me.
Yes.
I do not have bugs.
Hi, Orkin. Yeah, we have bugs.
I was wondering.
Stressed about pests? Don't call any pro. Call the
worry about
Orkin
the
Pro.
bugs.
Orkin, the
That's
best
what
in
we're talking
pests.
about
I
today.
got this.
Captain Luis Avila, a U.S. soldier severely wounded by an IED explosion December 2011 in Afghanistan.
According to a stunning new profile in The Atlantic, following wounded Army Captain Luis Avila's rendition of God Bless America, Trump walked over to congratulate and embrace him. But moments after that, the former president told Chairman Milley, quote, "Why do you bring people like that here? No one wants to see that, the wounded. Never let Avila appear in public again."
I think that was a moment that was deeply unnatural for American military leaders, not just Mark Milley. They venerate veterans and combat survivors like Captain Avila. The idea that you would hide them, it's repugnant. It runs counter to their instinct. I don't think Mark Milley, when he came in 2019, thought he was dealing with Mr. Rogers. It took until Lafayette Square the next year for Mark Milley to fully understand what he's dealing with here.
That which he was dealing with was a monster, an empty, soulless, orange orangutan with the heart that's as black as Darth Vader himself. He is so worshipped. Nothing but darkness. There's no amount of money that could ever make him feel better. That's why he loses it every 8 years. What makes him feel better is being the one in charge, stomping on people, looking beautiful. These guys were right out of central casting. He would rather hire dummies to do intelligent people's jobs because they look pretty. Sacrifice? Never. Ex-President Bone Spurs, Captain Bone Spurs himself has no idea what sacrifice means. He has no idea what service means. Those aren't real to him. Those are not real to him. His exact words? Why would you
This
bring
is
that
how
type
AG1
of a person
works to
here?
deliver.
We don't want to watch the commercial again. Why would you bring someone like that here? Huh? He has no idea. No idea why you would bring someone like that here. It never occurred to him that someone like that lost everything they had in service of the country he's supposed to be running. That's okay. What about when he said, "I don't want to have any of the wounded soldiers in my parade"? In the 4th of July parade that he wanted to have in the Kim Jong-un style, with the military running down our streets and missiles on the runway, on the highways. It wasn't in service of the country. Just like every other dictator, it was in service of his fat ass. It was in service of his unbelievably fat ego. And meanwhile, make sure all the ones that look ugly, that are burnt and lost their limbs, don't show up. That doesn't look good for me. You remember that? Every one of the Republicans that tell you that they love the country and that they love the military and that all of the wokeness is making them bad, remind them that they voted for the person who pissed on the graves of the people who he was supposed to be honoring today. Remind them that he didn't want to have people who served this country valiantly, heroically, and were maimed because of it, be in his parade. Remind them when they hug the flag next time and kiss the eagle next time that they might as well pull their pants down and fuck it, because it means nothing. It's a show. It's fake. Remind them of that. Remind them of that when they wear the flag pin. Would you remind them of that, please?
You just reminded me of a story, or a meme Dave Oz showed us today.
What's that?
A Russian tourist trying to fuck a cow. And the cow turned around and pinned him to the ground, and he had to be rescued. And he's been arrested, jailed. I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Let's be the cow, not the Russian cow fucker.
We need some levity, man. We need some levity. Let that cow story. Let that be the flag for that person who hugs it. Let it fall down on them while they need to get a room for their fake love of this country, huh? That's hilarious. We might need that. I'm almost done, people. But allow me.
You know what nobody talks about when it comes to building a content creator business? That if you're not using a tool like HoneyBook to stay or
the longest. When they tell you how much Kamala hates this country. She wants kids to eat free. Oh, they want health care for everyone. They don't want to pay their college bills. They hate that country. We're going to hell. We're going to hell. Remind them of that. Remind them of these things that I speak of today before you even get to the fact that he sold what used to be valuable symbols, medals, to the highest bidder who break records for his campaign. And let's not forget, the only reason why she was mentioned is because just like he sees everything as transactional, that was supposed to be at a convention speaking about Jewish issues, Israeli issues. It's all the same to him. Hey, I gave a Jew a medal one time. Isn't that enough? Huh? Hey, I gave a Jew a medal one time. Come on, you guys. All y'all the same, aren't you? Whether you're killing those other brown people over there, no big deal. Just give me the money. Give me the power. I'll give you everything you need. I'll even give another Jew a medal. While I have Mein Kampf sitting on the coffee table next to me when I wake up. Wake up! You guys don't care. Not you guys who are watching this. I know you care, but this is what you're going to tell those same people when they give you an excuse why all the things I'm saying don't mean anything. Your answer is, you don't care. You just want the power like him.
Serving White House Chief of Staff for Donald Trump, offering his harshest criticism yet of his former boss, John Kelly, sent in a statement to CNN, which he backs up many of the stories recounted recently of Trump lashing out against U.S. service members and veterans. Kelly confirms Trump didn't want wounded veterans in a military parade planned for Independence Day because it, quote, doesn't look good for me, meaning Donald Trump saying that. Kelly also says Trump, quote, rants that our most precious heroes who gave their lives in America's defense are losers and wouldn't visit their graves in France. Kelly then appears to comment on Trump's most recent attack on General Mark Milley, in which the former president suggests he be punished by death.
They don't care. They've never cared. What's worse is, just like Admin Tim said, he was in a foxhole with these same people who come out and say that somehow Democrats aren't American, but vote for this filth. Turn their eyes the other way, their head the other way, while he rips their pants off and hits it from the back. They love it. All of it. Surprise! I like that, P-Dubs. They love it. They don't care. They would use that flag to wipe their ass if it meant that the orange godfather would give them a call to kiss his ring on this, the day of my daughter's wedding. And the last thing that they'll tell you is, well, he's a Christian. Allow me, because it seems that whole crap about he's a Christian and somehow all of the unchristian things he does makes it better, makes it okay to denigrate soldiers, to not like the soldiers who come back who've maimed themselves in the name of our Constitution and our country. Those same people who tell you that we love God, guns, and no abortion. Ask them, what did Jesus say about the Congressional Medal of Honor recipients? You want to know what he said about that? He spoke about it clearly. Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. Written in the red ink. Tell those Christians to fuck themselves when they tell you that they voted for this punk-ass bitch for president because he's a Christian, while denigrating those who gave their life for their friends. He's the Antichrist. The opposite of Christ. If you vote for him, you're the pedestal for the Antichrist. Mm-hmm. Go to church and tell him that. Tell him I said so. Preacher Bruce from the pulpit. Now, are there any questions? Any questions, Laura? Anything I missed down there in the chat?
Well, I was reminded of what we were discussing in my chat earlier on a live about that poem, First They Came for Me, or First They Came for the Socialists, and I did not speak out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They never learn. Martin Niemöller. Thank you, Benny Loco. Yeah.
So I thought I'm glad it only took about 30 minutes. You're lucky it's not an hour because I didn't go into Barron Exposed because I feel like there's more important things to talk about than his sadistic butt being exposed for slapping his nannies and killing numerous bunnies and other animals in the
I could drop that link to that video in the chat, maybe.
Go ahead and drop that link.
Alrighty.
So that's what I have to say about the never having served anything other than himself. The self-fellaciating Trump. The self-fellaciating Trump who knows nothing of service or sacrifice. That's why he says the things he says. That's why it's foreign to him. The superficial, unearned entitlement Karen of a president that we had the gall to deface this nation with when we allowed him to become president. It's our fault. Because the only reason he won was because not enough of us thought it was important to vote against him. So it's our fault. Will we do it again? Is that what we're going to do again?
We're not going back.
Thank you. I'll take it. Now.
Fuck you.
Give me the button one more time, Laura. Give me the button.
Fuck you.
Thank you.
I got my fuck you button.
I love it. That's going to be a staple. As a matter of fact, anybody says something crazy in the comment section, no, I'm just playing. We're not doing that. The rules still apply in the comment section. Be decent with one another. Disagree with the whatever, the statement, not the person, all that stuff. Anyway, speaking of, go ahead. Go ahead.
World Traveler says, just as much as I would like to agree that he is Antichrist, I just can't bring myself to believe in that meaning belief system. I'm a pagan, non-practicing Wiccan, but I agree with the principle that if there's Christ-like people in that they're loving and accepting and caring, he's the opposite of that. He's not loving, caring, giving of anything.
And thank you.
That's
World Traveler for that, because I want to make that clear. I'm not speaking of the Revelations book, the theological Antichrist. I'm talking about the anti-Christ, the anti-what Christ is supposed to be. If there is a Christ-like, he is that. He is ill that. Right? He is not whatever they tell you he's supposed to be. That's exactly what I mean. But he also knows nothing of sacrifice and service, which is why he thinks of teachers the way he does. Give me the story as best you know. What's going on?
He does know. He knows sacrifice. He keeps throwing those people under that bus. He keeps sacrificing all of those loyal employees and lawyers and.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he sacrifices all them.
How many of them are going to have to be found underneath buses before they get it? What does he have over them, Laura? Like what? Is it just the actual thought or proximity to power that they're so willing to give up everything for? Like he's not even gonna. The lawyers aren't even gonna get paid. P-Dubs, what's the question?
I mean, it's beyond me. I've never been a capitalist-minded person, so even the attraction to riches, I can't figure out. But let alone what the attraction to this personification of power in some form. I don't get it at all. It's just way beyond me.
So really quick, I'm just gonna give a caveat here. There's one idea, which also is true, but doesn't really fully explain all of the D-riders. But the idea that Republicans, on a whole, have to realize that not being able to win popular elections year after year after year after year doesn't bode well for them. And unless they change their platform and understand that the world, life itself is changing, the only way to stay in power is to have a dictatorship. So that is one thing. We can always remind ourselves of that. You know that unless you're willing to say, okay, you know what, maybe some abortion is okay. Unless you're willing to say, you know what, maybe black people aren't the bane of America. Maybe some of them are smart. Unless you're willing to say, you know what, maybe I can't discriminate against somebody named Shaniqua on a resume just because her name is Shaniqua.
Or Kamala.
Or Kamala. Right? Unless you're willing to do
that. Well, thankfully there are groups, Republicans for Harris and other anti-Trump Republican, more and more and more and more and more, piling on. But somehow it's not quite enough yet.
Well, I mean, I guess it's going to take this guy completely falling on his face, and the whole movement falling on its face in such a way that they can't go back. We have to vote like our lives depending on it. We got to vote. We got to come out and vote like we did for Obama. It's got to be such big numbers that they have to
even
turn it
bigger
around.
than Obama because they've been putting in more roadblocks than even they did for him.
Facts. So I'm going to get to the teachers because his lack of ever having served anybody but himself leads to this type of thinking when it comes to teachers. People out there, good and decent people of YouTube, have you heard
everyone, welcome to the show.
What this guy said about teachers in his last, what was it?
Considered to
in
be
North Carolina's speech
in Republican politics. He's explaining in this video that you're going to see how the race has shifted towards Harris. Check this out.
She's bringing out people who are not interested in voting for either Trump or Biden. So the entire electoral pool has changed. And if it continues in this direction, you have to start to consider Democrats winning the Senate and Democrats winning the House. The actual people who are participating.
Really quick, though, guys. Look at Coach. Look at Coach over there. Coach Walls.
You have to start to consider Democrats winning the Senate and Democrats winning the House. The actual people who are participating. She's got intensity now. She's got an intensity advantage. She's got a demographic advantage. And I haven't seen anything like this happen in 30 days in my lifetime.
So you can see.
All right, I'm trying to find out where he's talking about where he's talking about these teachers here. Hopefully I got it here. Is this the right clip? Anyway, your boy Trump, once again, because he has no idea what service is, he calls basically teaching jobs not really working for the private industry, so they don't really know what work is like. In other words, that's not a real job. Not only did he talk about military people, of which I'm one, veterans, he talks about teachers, of which I'm one. He's going after me all week. So much so that even my COVID seems to have cleared up just for the moment because I haven't coughed in a while. Let's see if we can find it. I had it here, I swear. Teachers. Don't work for private sector. If I don't find it quick, we'll move on.
Bruce, I just dropped it in the text.
Okay, love you. Thank you. Let's see.
And it was his spokes thing.
Oh, I thought that's the same one I was just showing. Okay, so maybe it's somewhere where I'm missing it.
Hey everyone, welcome to.
Okay.
So Harris is Leo.
You can see how many young women are participating now. They're the ones that switched. They're the ones that went either from undecided or supporting Kennedy. And you've noticed that Kennedy's numbers have completely imploded. They either supported Kennedy, Trump, or undecided. And they are so excited about this younger, fresher woman running that you can see it.
All right, let's see.
Had some thoughts on that as well. Check this one out.
Why is Donald Trump saying publicly, I want to fire the same people that he's getting now, still getting union members? It's ridiculous. It's as though he's lost control. And I know that there are billionaires who watch this show who are spending a lot of money on Donald Trump, and they don't understand why he's committing political.
Michigan rally, as if they're idiots. Vance claims that Trump and Musk were just talking about the Twitter employees. They weren't talking about Tesla. They were talking about Tesla employees, just Twitter, as if that makes it any better, right? Like, oh, okay, well, as long as you're just going to fire Twitter employees who try to unionize or strike. Yeah. And Trump's team and his allies are not helping him. They're making matters worse, if anything. So check this out. Check out what a Trump spokesperson had to say about vice presidential nominee Tim Walz.
He's never held a real job in his life, by the way. He spent all of his life running for Congress, running for office, or in office.
So that woman that you heard there, her name, by the way, is Caroline Sunshine. How ironic, right? Yeah, she's so sunshiny. Anyway, Ms. Sunshine basically just told teachers and veterans, you're not working real jobs. You guys are lowlifes. You guys aren't doing anything, right?
Wow.
Tim Walz served in the military for 20.
Once again, that was just the spokesperson. I wish I could find where actually Trump said it. about teachers. The guy actually says that teachers basically don't deserve that much. They don't know that much because they don't work for the private sector. And this is the problem. This is what happens when you don't know what service is. When service means nothing. There are people like him that believe if you don't make more money than the other person, then that means you're worthless. That's why his son treats his nanny that way. That's why he is so stupid, because he looked at his teachers and saw them as worthless and not worth learning from. That's why he holds up Tic Tacs like this. You guys see that picture? What a fool. So yeah.
Holds up Tic Tacs to show allegedly the effects of inflation, while the very next day, or was it earlier that day, he let a bunch of real groceries, meat rotting behind him.
Oh my God, yes.
Waste.
We don't even need to show that. Did you guys saw that ridiculous thing, right?
We couldn't help but see it. It was all in our faces whether we wanted or not. Whenever Donald calls a thing, there's cameras there. You can't get away from it.
Listen, I know a perfect place to put this commercial to. While he's doing that to teachers, while he's talking about teachers, while he's talking about teachers, this is what the Oklahoma people have decided to do in retaliation. But first, this is
a few things to look, and it is as follows.
I love you. Have a great day at school.
Dictator on day one. There will have to be some form of punishment for women.
Roe versus Wade was terminated.
Fire, fury, bloodbath. Now get in.
You know what, honey? I'm gonna drive you today. Besides, can convicted felons even drive school buses?
If you wouldn't trust him with your kid, why would you trust him with your country?
That was perfect.
And while you guys are doing a spit take and laughing, I'm going to tell you that the people of Oklahoma have had the exact same idea. Why listen to this guy? You wouldn't trust him with your kids. And when you do trust these Republicans with your kids, this is what they do with it. Oklahoma said no more. Let's check this out, guys.
We believe in a future where every person has the opportunity not just to get by, but to...
Oklahoma Republicans seem to have finally had enough of the Superintendent Ryan Walters. Now, Walters is pretty extreme, and therefore you have a bunch of bipartisan legislators that are looking to impeach him. So now, those of you who are not familiar with Walters, he's basically implemented the most extreme agenda for Oklahoma schools, the extreme right-wing Moms for Liberty type agenda. So he's implemented book bans, went after the LGBTQ community, of course, went after local school districts that have adopted DEI programs, diversity, equity, and inclusion. He even appointed Libs of TikTok founder Chaya Raichik to the State Library Advisory Committee.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Did you hear that, Laura? This guy appointed...
Oh, I'm sorry.
The Libs of TikTok,
this guy.
The Libs of TikTok woman, head of the Library Advisory, the one who wants to ban more books than Hitler himself.
TikTok founder Chaya Raichik to the State Library Advisory Committee. So, yeah. He's also attempted to use millions of dollars in taxpayer money to fund a private virtual online Catholic school that happens to be illegal. No public money is supposed to go to churches,
right?
Private religious institutions. That's literally why they are tax exempt. Okay? So if you know what? Pay to play. Okay, if you want public money, then well, you're going to have to, stop being tax exempt. So that's the price of that. Price of admission, let's just say. That said, currently illegal. Now, the state's Republican Attorney General had told Walters that it's illegal, and he's like, oh, yeah, well, okay, don't care. I'm going to continue. And so it then went to the Republican-dominated state Supreme Court, who then ruled against him, saying, it's obviously illegal and unconstitutional. You can't do that. You can't just use public money and pump it into a private religious institution. That's not something that we're allowed to do. Now, following that, Walters then tripled down. He said he was going to then require that every public school classroom have a Christian Bible and that every teacher must then teach their lessons from the Bible.
Oh, my God.
So he is constantly running up against the separation of church and state. So the Establishment Clause, specifically in the First Amendment.
100%.
And he keeps running up against it, so for a purpose, for a reason. And that's to try to take it down. Now, after the shooting at the Trump rally, Walters also announced, by the way, that he'd heard some school employees may have made jokes online about it and said he was going to hunt them down and fire them. That's also another thing that Walters had done that just shows you the kind of person he is. But getting back to the main point here, the guy's pushing Christian nationalism in schools in the hopes of getting a case to the Supreme Court. They're being shut down by the state Supreme Courts, and to get it in front of these justices that are massively conservative so that he can overturn more precedent, which will then allow for religion to be injected into state education programs where it doesn't belong. Religion doesn't belong in government. Government doesn't belong in religion. This guy's trying to break down that wall. So now, apparently, he's gone too far even for Republicans, as you can see. According to reports, the Republican chair of the Oklahoma House Appropriations Committee, Mark McBride, actually believes in the Constitution, and he is leading a bipartisan effort with the Democrats to begin an investigation to impeach Walters for defying the law with his unconstitutional measures. In fact, I'm going to show you a video here of Walters crying about it on the criminal Steve Bannon show.
Now we've got a Republican. He is a complete rhino union sellout. His name's Mark McBride, leading a charge to try to...
Union sellout. Jeez. These guys hate you. What do you like about them, Republican? They hate you.
Teach me. And so they're trying to launch an investigation into me today. Again, what you see is what is typical of when the left cannot stop you in an election, when they can't steal it, when they can't advance their policy, when a conservative policy advances, they find the weakest Republicans out there, buy them off, and then engage in these type of attacks. We've never seen anything like it. This is unprecedented. I won. I mean, my elections were such a landslide. It was ridiculous. Crushed my opponents, and now they're trying to overturn the will of the people of Oklahoma. It's just outrageous.
No, what's outrageous is you crapping on the Constitution. Look.
Facts. That's what's outrageous. They hate you. They absolutely hate you. Christian nationalism is not about Christianity. It's not about nationalism. I'm going to do an entire video on it this weekend, coming all the way back from Constantine, thanks to Sergeant Major Odetta. Isn't that his name? He reminded me of something that I learned a long time ago.
Odetta Live, yeah.
Right. And the point is just power. Greed, power, and using the religion of Christianity to get it. That's what it is. That's exactly what it is. I got a whole thing coming about this weekend. You're going to want to see it. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be informative and hopefully funny as well. But yeah, they got to get this guy out of here. They got to get this guy out of here. And it looks like they might actually win in
children to get them to join in their cult. That's essentially, it's wrong. It's illegal. It's a bell icon in order.
All right, yeah. So it looks like they're actually going to have a good chance of winning that one as well. So, Oklahoma, good on you. It took you long enough. Republicans have this thing where they have to circle the wagon until they realize that, the wagon's running over their toes. And then they finally say, okay, you know what? Maybe I should have just gone with the Constitution first. But fine. However long it takes, I'm not mad at that. There you have it, people. This is what they offer you. In lieu of sacrifice and service, they offer ruling, the ruler class, denigration of our rights, lies, gaslighting, the destruction of the principles that make that flag great, while hugging it in your face. It's up to us to not let it happen again. We've got other news, but all of that was encompassed in this idea of service. Why they hate the teachers, why they hate unions, why they hate, or he specifically hates, to see the maimed, the injured. These people remind him of something he could never be, which is a decent, honorable, self-sacrificing, and nation-serving American. He can never be that, and that bothers him. We got other news, Laura. We got other news. What else you got on the list?
Oh, I got a list of some other things that happened. Well, of course, the good news, the biggest good news, was today's rollout of the Harris economic plan.
Oh, yes.
Have you had a chance to catch up with that?
I've recorded the whole thing.
Awesome.
Ooh, let me see.
With the going after big pharma, lowering costs.
Am I alive? Can you hear me? Can you see me? Is this really happening? Did this thing stay on while the power went down, computer restarted? Am I really back? This cannot be real. Am I here? Are we here? Ha! You can hear me? Unbelievable. All right. Well, I'm going to do number 2. All right, Laura. Whenever you want to jump, I guess whenever you want to jump in, I can get on Zoom. Until I do, you guys will see me here. And I'm going to get right to what I was supposed to be doing. I was supposed to be showing you what was going on with Kamala's speech today. Some highlights. I recorded the whole thing. I can't believe you guys are still here. I'm a little disoriented, but I'm coming back. I'm coming back in here. And I'm just going to run through it and go through some parts. See if we can't see the difference between what someone who looks like a future president actually sounds like, or who sounds like a actual intellectual worth voting for, as opposed to, well, let's be honest, the other guy, when he supposedly was giving his speech about economics that ended up being about Kamala's laugh or Tic Tacs or any number of other foolishness and ridiculousness. I'm getting it. We're going to just transfer it from this other computer where I had it recorded. I thought for sure. Let's take a look. Oh man, thank you guys so much for staying with me. Here it is. Boom. Yeah, I was supposed to do some editing to it, but that didn't happen today. But let's take a look, shall we? Let's take a look. If we can. Okay, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. I think my computer's messed up. Sorry for the slow start. I think my computer's like looking at me like, bro, we just turned on. What are you doing? All these programs. Let's see if we can force this thing to work.
Hello, family and friends.
Let's see if we can get this thing to work. No. It's too much for the computer right now. Let's try it again.
And thank you, Mike, for sharing your story.
All right.
Mike D's barbecue.
Trying,
my husband dug him off.
Thank you for staying with me. Thank you for staying with me.
And
if you're
thank
still
Mike,
here,
for sharing your
thank you for
story.
staying with me.
And
my computer seems to have not liked that shut off that we did. It is not playing by the rules. Oh well, listen. Once I get this thing started.
Where is it, Roy?
What?
And today he shouted 16, which is the number of times I've been in this beautiful state since I've been vice president. Your next governor, Attorney General Josh Stein. He's doing incredible work. He's going to be an extraordinary governor. Representatives Adam, Manning, Foushee, and Nickel, thank you all for your support, for your friendship, for your leadership. Chair Thomas of the Wake County Board of Commissioners, thank you for all that you do. And to all the leaders that are here today, including the students and instructors here at Wake Tech North. Thank you.
Let's take a look.
So thank you all. So listen, this election, I do strongly believe, is about two very different visions for our nation. One, ours, focused on the future, and the other focused on the past. We see that contrast clearly in many ways, including when it comes to how we think about the economy. So our country has come a long way since President Biden and I took office. At that time, we sadly remember the millions of Americans that were out of work. We were facing one of the worst economic crises in modern history. And today, by virtually every measure, our economy is the strongest in the world.
Now, these are not just, unlike the other guy who decided to speak in the same state, North Carolina, yesterday, and just spout foolishness and lies. These are actually facts. I want you to compare and contrast these little segments I'm going to show you with what you heard from the orange dictator, from the Godfather yesterday. And just tell me if you don't see the difference worth voting for.
Such as no child should have to grow up in poverty. Such as after years of hard work, you should be able to retire with dignity. And you should be able to join a union if you choose. Building up the middle class will be a defining goal of my presidency. Because I strongly believe when the middle class is strong, America is strong. So in the weeks to come, I will address in greater detail my plans to build an opportunity economy. And today, I will focus on one element that's on the minds of many Americans as they pay their bills at the kitchen table or walk the aisles of a grocery store. And that is lowering the cost of living. So every day across our nation, families talk about their plans for the future.
Why was that so important? Because treating Americans like they're intelligent goes a lot farther than treating them like a carnival barker who says, peanuts, peanuts, snake oil, snake oil. She knows it's impossible for her to get through all the campaign stops that she needs to make in a day and actually be able to lay out an entire economic plan for a country. While one orange guy with a pubic hair toupee points and says, no tips on taxes. I mean, no taxes on tips. How you like that? Saved it. Economy saved. Drill, baby, drill. And everybody goes, yay. She says, you know what? It's impossible. Let me treat you like you're not just a sycophant. Let me treat you like maybe you actually care about what I'm saying and not just the fact that I'm up here. I'm going to focus in on a specific part of this plan. And the specific part of the plan is the one that I think will help you the most. At the table, how to help with your down payments for housing, how to stop price gouging at the grocery store, how to help the little guy rather than the large company, in stark contrast to Donnie Boy, Donnie from the block, to the dog father.
Their ambitions, their aspirations for themselves, for their children. And they talk about how they're going to be able to actually achieve them financially. Because look, the bills add up.
Let's take this out.
Food, rent, gas, back to school clothes, prescription medication. After all that, for many families, there's not much left at the end of the month. I grew up in a middle-class household for most of my childhood.
I just want to get you something really quick. I know we're moving forward.
When the cost of living goes up. When I am elected president, I will make it a top priority to bring down costs and increase economic security for all Americans. As president, I will take on the high costs that matter most to most Americans, like the cost of food. We all know that prices went up during the pandemic when the supply chains shut down and failed. But our supply chains...
I hear you, world traveler. But
and prices are still too high.
The truth is...
A loaf of bread costs 50% more today than it did before the pandemic. Ground beef is up almost 50%.
Real quick, I want to talk about what World Traveler All 7 just said. This is important. The collective mass, the we, the us, is entirely stupid and sheep-like. It's a human characteristic. Period. Which is why the leader dictates exactly what you can expect from the mass. You see, with a leader like Trump, you get Jews will not replace us becoming prevalent in our society. With a leader like Trump, you get a bunch of red hats walking around like they're the most intelligent. And the rest of the world followed. Not just America. The world followed Brexit. The world followed all the way in Australia, where the right wing started to boom. The world followed, even in France. What happens is, when we say the leader of the free world, it's because even people like the magistrate that we had on here and interviewed from France will tell you the world still looks to us for comparisons, for ideas. Not just ideas, but comparisons to their ideas. There's still a leader involved. And when she's on there, we become what the leader expects of us. So when the leader speaks in intelligence, and the leader also has charisma, and is not just a scientist, sure, a scientist will not be the one to lead a country into smartness. They're going to go after the buffoon every time. But when you have that mix of charisma and intelligence, and you treat the crowd like they're intelligent, they become that thing. Just like they became that pus-filled abscess on the ass of this country in seconds, the minute they had a leader to take them there. they also rose to the occasion. Not 8 years before that, when they had a leader to take them there. You're 100% right. You're 100% right, World Traveler All 7. We cannot underestimate the stupidity of the mass. We cannot overestimate the influence of the leader on the mass. That's the key. That's the key, in my opinion.
%. Many of the big food companies are seeing their highest profits in 2 decades. And while many grocery chains pass along these savings, others still aren't. Look, I know most businesses are creating jobs, contributing to our economy, and playing by the rules. But some are not. And that's just not right. And we need to take action when that is the case.
Now this is big, and then I'll move to the other more important one.
As Attorney General
we'll
in California, I went after companies that illegally increased prices, including wholesalers that inflated the price of prescription medication, and companies that conspired with competitors to keep prices of electronics high. I won more than $1 billion for consumers.
There goes all my coughing in the background, excuse me.
So believe me, as president, I will go after the bad actors. And I will work to pass the first ever federal ban on price gauging on food.
Price gouging. Now, that is super important. Why? Number one, because it says to the lefties like me and maybe a few of you out there, I'm not a moderate when it comes to attacking the corporations, letting them know they're being put on notice, letting them know the laws aren't here just to appease them and to put black people in jail for their benefit. The laws are also here to put white-collar workers in jail if necessary. To someone like me, hearing talk like that, no matter how real or fake it's going to be because she has a Congress to deal with, but knowing she has a vice president like Walz, that she's willing to speak like this, it says something to the lefty that may just be thinking, oh, they're all the same. That has a big ring. That hits a big bell on the head of the people who just might have said, nah, she's a cop. That's big. Compare that to what the other guy said. It's night and day. It's night and day. So more than just the actual policy itself being a good one, go after those price gougers, because those are the ones that are keeping the prices higher than it should be. She also said she's going to make sure that she assists the smaller companies that are working within the rules, so there's more competition. All of that sounds good. I love it. More importantly, it sounds strong. And I love that. Here's another one, the last one I'll show, that I think just shows the biggest difference between rhetoric, build the wall, look at her laugh, she's crazy, tic-tacs, drill baby drill. As Laura so eloquently said it, slogans. What did you say? Slogans versus actual plans. This one puts the nail in the coffin for that bum, unpatriotic bum.
How to fight for people who are being exploited in the housing market. And I know what home ownership means. It's more than a financial transaction. It's so much more than...
Angela B., you're asking for too much now. Can we get the upper 1% paying for their fair share of taxes? Unfortunately, we should have all got Bernie in there 8 years ago. Now, we're reaching for the best we can get. I hate to tell you. No, we can't. Because even though we love Kamala, listen, I'm not going to go into this until after the election. Because the truth is, like I told my wife the other day, our only job as American citizens, our only job is to, as she put it, ride that thing all day long. After she gets in office, we ride. There is no such thing as a politician who cares. It's about the people who make them care. If we make sure that she knows her A is on the line, then yeah, we can get that. But no, she ain't gonna talk about that here. We're happy that she's not Trump, and we're gonna vote her in. But I guarantee you, the day after the election, we riding. That's the only way to get that thing done, Angela B.
It's more than a house. Home ownership and what that means, it's a symbol of the pride that comes with hard work. It's financial security. It represents what you will be able to do for your children. And sadly, right now, it is out of reach for far too many American families. There's a serious housing shortage. In many places, it's too difficult to build, and it's driving prices up. As president, I will work in partnership with industry to build the housing we need, both to rent and to buy. We will take down barriers and cut red tape, including at the state and local levels. And by the end of my first term, we will end America's housing shortage by building 3 million new homes and rentals that are affordable for the middle class.
Can she do it? Probably not without that 1% paying their fair share of taxes, Angela. Did she propose it? To put them on notice. Yeah, she did. Yeah, she did. It's our turn to ride after we get her in. That's a proposal I can stand by. I can vote for. And I can tell all my lefty friends who find a reason not to vote for. And to ride when they get there. That's something I can stand behind. Not a funny laugh. Not a tic-tac bottle. Not a frosted mini wheats table standing behind me. That's substance. That's something I can ride on. That's something I can feel, I can see and understand, as well as eloquently explained by this beautiful, intelligent black woman that he thinks is an idiot and stupid just because she's black Indian. In his words. Only I can make that joke, guys, I'm sure.
And we will do that together. We will do that together.
Now we'll ride them donkey.
And we will make sure those homes actually go to working and middle class Americans. Not just investors.
There it is.
Because, you know, some
See, those people didn't clap there because they don't know how messed up right now the market is. Most of the houses that are for sale are bought by investors to be given to those travel home sites, Airbnb, or straight up hiked up rent. Most homes in my neighborhood out there have been taken and owned by corporations. I only have about 5 or 6 neighbors in a house of maybe 110, in a neighborhood of 110, that I know still live there. And the rest are corporate owned, rented to the nearest next for the highest price. That means something. Here's the kicker, though.
Corporate landlords, some of them buy dozens, if not hundreds of houses and apartments. Then they turn them around and rent them out at extremely high prices. And it can make it impossible then for regular people to be able to buy or even rent a home. Some corporate landlords collude with each other to set artificially high rental prices, often using algorithms in price-fixing software.
I'm so sorry, Benny Loco.
It's anti-competitive, and it drives up costs. I will fight for a law that cracks down on these practices.
It's up to us to ride on that.
We also know that as the price of
Hey, that keg is important too, Benny Loco, but stop.
Housing has gone up, the size of down payments have gone up as well. Even if aspiring homeowners save for years, it often still is not enough. So in addition, while we work on the housing shortage,
and yes, I'm still sorry, Benny Loco. That sucks.
My administration will provide first-time home buyers with $25,000 to help with the down payment on a new home.
I want to hear that again. I'm going to end this, guys. Thank you so much for staying with me. Listen to this, and we're going to end it on a big song I need you to hear.
We also know that as the price of housing has gone up, the size of down payments have gone up as well. Even if aspiring homeowners save for years, it often still is not enough. So in addition, while we work on the housing shortage, my administration will provide first-time home buyers with $25,000 to help with the down payment on a new home.
Yeah, that's the difference. Whatever you heard yesterday, I'm so sorry to hear that, Benny Loco. Y'all give her some love and comfort. Those of you who pray, pray. Those of you who send well wishes, send them. But do not fear too much. The country is on the rise. Listening to talk like that is great. And I guarantee you that's something I can stand behind wholeheartedly. Wholeheartedly. And I'm going to leave you with this song, and we're going to get up out of here, because all of that sounds good, and all of that sounds presidential. All of that is requiring the masses to act and look educated. And they will. They will become that, because they're also enthusiastic. She's also got a charismatic campaign around her. That's why the dope heads are going to be hiding under the rocks again. But in order for us to get all of those things, back to Angela B's question, it's up to all of us to go out and vote. But after we do that, it's up to all of us to make sure to ride that donkey.